The Little Rock City Council instructed the Little Rock police chief to arrest Bates and other NAACP figures. She and the local branch president surrendered voluntarily. They were charged with failing to provide information about NAACP members for the public record, in violation of a city ordinance. Though Bates was charged a fine by the judge, the NAACP lawyers appealed and eventually won a reversal in the United States Supreme Court. In a similar case, the High Court held that the state of Alabama could not compel the NAACP to turn over its membership list to state officials. In an interview with Bates, she says the most important contribution she made during the Little Rock crisis was the very fact that the kids went in Central, they got in. And they remained there for the full year. And that opened a lot of doors that had been closed to Negroes, because this was the first time that this kind of revolution had succeeded without a doubt. And none of the children were really hurt physically. Martin Luther King Jr. sent a telegram in September 1957 regarding the Central High School and Little Rock 9 crisis. King's purpose was to encourage Bates to adhere rigorously to a way of non-violence, despite being terrorized, stoned, and threatened by ruthless mobs. He assured her, "World opinion is with you. The moral conscience of millions of white Americans is with you." King was a guest of the Bateses in May 1958 when he spoke at the Arkansas AM&N College commencement. Soon after the commencement, King asked Daisy Bates to be the Women's Day speaker at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church later that year in October. The same year that she was elected to be a speaker at the Baptist Church, she was also elected to the Executive Committee of King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. The Bateses' involvement in the Little Rock crisis resulted in the loss of advertising revenue to their newspaper, and it was forced to close in 1959. In 1960, Daisy Bates moved to New York City and wrote her memoir, The Long Shadow of Little Rock, which won a 1988 National Book Award. This crisis showed the influence of the local organizations, and Bates' action worked because the government started to have a reaction towards the organization like NAACP. After the Little Rock 9 crisis in Arkansas, the city enacted ordinances that all organizations should disclose their membership lists, such as the NAACP. The Encyclopedia of Civil Rights in America records that, in an opinion by Justice Potter Stewart, the court held that free speech included a freedom of association for expressive purposes. This freedom, the court believed, was threatened by the attempts of local government officials to obtain the membership lists of the NAACP chapters. Bates then moved to Washington, D.C., and worked for the Democratic National Committee. She also served in the administration of U.S. President Lyndon Baines Johnson working on anti-poverty programs. In 1965, she suffered a stroke and returned to Little Rock. In 1968, she moved to the rural black community of Mitchellville in Desha County, eastern Arkansas. She concentrated on improving the lives of her neighbors by establishing a self-help program which was responsible for new sewer systems, paved streets, a water system, and community center. Bates revived the Arkansas State Press in 1984 after L.C. Bates, her husband, died in 1980. In the same year, Bates also earned the honorary Doctor of Laws degree, which was awarded by the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. In 1986, the University of Arkansas Press republished The Long Shadow of Little Rock, which became the first reprinted edition ever to earn an American Book Award. The former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt wrote the introduction for Bates' autobiography. The following year she sold the newspaper, but continued to act as a consultant. Little Rock paid perhaps the ultimate tribute, not only to Bates but to the new era she helped initiate, by opening Daisy Bates Elementary School and by making the third Monday in February George Washington's birthday and Daisy Gatson Bates Day an official state holiday. Bates died in Little Rock on November 4, 1999, a week before her 85th birthday. Filmmaker Sharon LaCruz produced and directed a documentary film about Bates. Daisy Bates, First Lady of Little Rock premiered on February 2, 2012, as part of the Independent Lens series on PBS.